All of a sudden, it's $75,000 for a loaf of bread. 10 days ago, I would have told you BRICS is a joke. If they actually pull that off, BlackRock does this with a form of DEI, ESG scores. If you don't comply with what they want to see, you don't get investors. And they control $10 trillion, I think, or they used to control 10, now I think it's 7. But that's significant. And so the more of these traditional institutions, especially the ones most closely linked with the governments, start flexing their muscles to say that if you don't agree with us ideologically on these things, then we won't give you access to a banking system that you absolutely rely upon to make basic transactions. That's where cryptocurrency, I think, really comes in as a useful alternative.
Yeah. Do you think the dollar is going to collapse?
So my buddy Christian and I, we debate this a lot. He says absolutely. He says absolutely. It's inevitable. It has to happen. I think it depends, which is such a lame answer, right? But is it going to collapse in the way that, like, say, the Weimar Republic did in the 1930s or Zimbabwe recently did, where it's just like all of a sudden it's $75,000 for a loaf of bread? I mean, inflation got so bad in Zimbabwe 12 years ago where you could walk into the store, pick up an item, and come back, and by the time you got to the checkout register, the price had increased.
You got to be kidding.
No. They were carrying around, like, I have $100 trillion Zimbabwe bill. Hyperinflation had got to the point where it was like, I think 75,000%. I mean, it was insane. I don't see that happening anytime soon within the United States for a couple of reasons. One is because we still are economically the most powerful nation on earth. We still are the reserve currency, so a lot of other countries have an incentive for the dollar to not collapse. The issue that's coming up right now is the BRICS system, which is, Brazil, China, India, South Africa, and Russia. I said it out of order, but that's what it is. They're announcing that they want to come up with a new currency to push back against the dollar. And they want it to be a commodity-based currency, which means like a gold-backed currency. Now, 10 days ago, I would have told you BRICS is a joke. If they actually pull that off, I still don't think BRICS is going to be successful because the countries involved have so much internal economic and social problems. Like, South Africa is so close to becoming a failed state and people don't even realize it. China is facing huge economic. I don't think China is going to be the second richest country in the world in 10 years. They're facing massive problems. The Russian economy is smaller than South Korea.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I don't think these countries are going to be able to make good on this for a variety of social, economic, and geographical reasons. But the smartest thing I've heard them come up with so far is a commodity-based currency, because there's going to be a lot of people that, regardless of how they feel about the current system, they're going to try to hedge their bets. And if they've got a bet that they can go with, that could cause real problems for the dollar.
I mean, it seems like they're making a lot of traction. More and more countries are heading to that. Is it a currency yet?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, Argentina, I saw, seems to be all about it. And
Argentina can talk a good game all day long, but that if you ever wanted to see a country in the Western Hemisphere that should be a world power that isn't, it's Argentina. And it's because it's been one of the most, effectively mismanaged countries with so much going forward in the way of weather, natural resources, and everything else. But they keep electing populists, or socialist-oriented strongmen, and it's devastated their overall economic growth.
What are you putting your money in to protect it from
ammunition? No, I'm kidding.
Ammunition.
Ammunition and livestock. No. I did have somebody once come up to me, they're like, Nick, you got to invest in silver. I'm like, this was 10 years ago. And he goes, Nick, you got to invest in silver. I'm like, why do I got to invest in silver? He goes, because when everything collapses, you're not going to buy a loaf of bread with an ounce of gold, right? You got to have something with, that's more divisible than that, and it's easier to exchange. I said, Vu, man, I don't gotta buy silver. He goes, why? I'm like, because I have guns and ammunition. Your silver is now my silver, and now go plow my field. And I kid you not, a week later, he comes into work. He's like, so Nick, I took your advice. I'm like,
Oh no,
dude, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah. He goes, I just bought 3 more rifles. Can you teach me how to shoot? I'm like,
oh man,
crap, dude. No, I think I still think, even though this is an interesting time to be doing it because interest rates are a little bit higher, I will always believe that real estate has value. Now, where it has value and under what circumstances can change, but they're not making any more land. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's something valuable about that. Now, again, I always caveat, I do not give financial advice. I'm not a super wealthy dude. I'm nothing like that. But the place where I feel the most comfortable is having something that I can like touch, not a stock that is largely speculative. So I think real estate is still going to be a valuable commodity to possess. As far as stocks, I try to spread it out to where there's something there. I do have a little bit of crypto, but it's almost kind of like backup plan in case I needed to use it as currency. But
I'm with you on the land.
Yeah.
I think that'll be the last to go.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.